Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the AfricanMusicLaw.com show, episode 153, if you're keeping count. I'm super excited about this episode. Now, historically, for a long time, I've always had the Ask Miss Uduak segment on both the blog, the website, as well as also the podcast. And it's been such a long time that I've done it that I thought, you know what, it's time to do it. We've been having a lot of guests, etc., but it's time to do it. But nevertheless, I still thought to bring on some guests, regardless, people that are going to speak directly to you about some of the topics that I'll be covering. So what are we talking about today? We're talking about several topics. One of the hot ones is, of course, the whole J.Cole playing in the Basketball Africa League. We are also talking about trademark issues in the UK, two British retailers trademarking specifically Yoruba, which is the ethnic name of a particular group located in Nigeria, West Africa, and other parts of Africa as well. And then we're talking about the band Dem Camp, who also had to deal with the trademark issue. We'll break that down later. If we have time, I will get into the discussion on Warner specifically having a deal with Diamond Platnumz, the Tanzanian musician. So we'll talk a little bit about that if we have more time, but let's see. In the meantime, let's first welcome all of our new guests. If this is your first time, welcome. It's so good that you're joining us. I think spending time with anyone, at least for me, my love language is spending time. So the fact that you choose to spend time with us is very, very amazing. Thank you for being here. My name is Miss Uduak. My full name is Uduak Oduak. I go by Miss Uduak for short. And I'm a fashion and entertainment lawyer located in California. In addition, I'm the host and producer of the African Music Law Show. This show has been in existence since 2014. The brand itself has been in existence since 2011. And what we do here is empower the African artist and the creative industry at large, wherever that African artist or industry professional can be found. We really focus on the business of what's happening on the continent. And it's not just only about the artist. It's the intersection of art, music, fashion, film, sports, the whole 9 yards. We incorporate it. So if you want to follow us, you can find us on all platforms possible, whether it's Spotify, all streaming platforms, that is, your major ones. And you can also directly go to AfricanMusicLaw.com and, of course, subscribe there. And if you subscribe there, you will certainly stay on point and be aware of all that we are doing. So I am ready to call our first guest so that we can start talking and breaking things down. I, of course, ask your questions, leave comments, and I will be happy to answer them. If you just leave them below, certainly happy to answer. Our guest also will be able to answer, but a lot of it is going to be a lot of Ask Miss Uduak at the end. So who is our guest as we talk about the J.Cole issue? Well, we invited the very person who said exactly what he needed to say with respect to J.Cole. I'm talking Terrell Stoglin is in the house, and he is going to break it down on what he was trying to talk about, and of course, tell us a little bit more about the Basketball Africa League. Terrell, welcome. How are you? Welcome.
Peace
How
and
you
love.
doing?
Hello.
Good morning over here.
I'm doing well.
So where are you located? Are you in Europe or Africa or New York or where right now?
Right now, I'm still in Africa. I'm
Okay.
in Morocco. So I'm here to finish the season with the guys. So
Awesome. And I saw you're hitting those numbers, man, on the MVP. I saw the latest post you've got on your website. Oh, actually, Instagram specifically.
right.
Yeah.
Just all glory to God. You know.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are not per se aware of the Basketball Africa League, and more so, even with all of this controversy that we're talking about, the whole J.Cole playing in the BAL, there's still a lot of distraction, in my humble opinion, that's focused more on J. Cole as an artist. So people still don't really know about BAL. It's just conversation's been around, the whole J. Cole thing. So why don't you tell us specifically what is the BAL and how did you get into it?
The BAL is an opportunity for African players and a few American players to come and play in Africa. And it was sponsored by the NBA. So for a lot of us, it meant a lot for us to be here. And so that's why I felt like it was not a problem, but there were pros and cons, positives and negatives for a rapper coming out here, you know.
Okay, so then let's back up a little bit. Tell us about your background. When did you start playing? How long have you been playing?
I've been pro since I was 20 years old, so this is my ninth year. I'm 29. I played around the world, and where I feel most welcomed and more home is Africa. So once I found out that the NBA was coming to Africa to look for talent in Africa, I felt like it was my duty to play in it. And I spent the last 2 years in Egypt playing for Zamalek Club, the team that's
Mm,
playing for the championship. And
yeah.
I won the champ. Oh, I helped them win the championship, which qualified them for the BAL. So once I found out that they were in it, I was getting phone calls from different African teams, and I decided to play for a Moroccan team called Al Saleh.
Hmm. Yeah. So let me back up a bit. For some people might not know this about me, but my brother played pro for a long time. Actually, when he finished at Loyola Marymount, where he's inducted in the Hall of Fame, Loyola Marymount in LA, he went to Europe to play. And I know there's so many things that go with that, and beyond that, on the African continent. That's why I thought your story was so interesting. What you had to say on the African continent, specifically Nigeria, when my brother was starting to, he's 6'9", when he was starting to think about playing ball, he used to have to, let's say, leave from California to New York secretly, didn't let my mom know, would sneak out from school. He was in boarding school, go out there and play. And he didn't even have shoes to play, right?
Right,
It was
right.
a struggle. It was a hustle to try to even get to play. And then, of course, opportunities came. We relocated to the US and all the whole trajectory that has followed. So I really, really resonate when you say that that spot, for example, with the J. Cole thing, is really a professional player that's looking for that opportunity. And that opportunity just literally, they don't get it because someone else who is very talented, no question about it, but is getting in when, frankly speaking, the more focus is on the music or other things, or he could just do a celebrity basketball game and not necessarily do it the way he's doing it.
Yeah.
But before we break it down even more, I want to get a little more into you, right? So when you finished school here in the States, right?
Hmm.
Where did you go? What was the first league you played?
Well, I never finished. So
Okay.
like I went to the University of Maryland for 2 years. I led the ACC in scoring, which was the toughest conference in college basketball at that time. I was only a sophomore, and I ran into some politics with the organization, with the university, and I decided that I'd rather play for money and help my family out than continue in politics. That was pretty much gaining from my talent, but I wasn't gaining anything back. So I guess you can say I'm always against the system.
I
The
was
system.
I was about to say you've always been at the forefront of questioning the status quo where it needs to be questioned because you do know your position, is now justified and validated, if you will, because we're coming around to the new rules about potentially having college players get paid while they play, right?
Yeah,
You've been
yes,
seeing a lot
yes.
of that, yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm a firm believer that if the university's making money, because I was seeing my jersey get sold at the university and I wasn't making anything. I was still struggling for food, like you know what I mean. So that's when I decided to just become a professional, whether it be the NBA
Mhm.
or overseas. You know.
Wow. So
Yeah.
so tell us about that journey then when you decided to go overseas. What was it like and where did you go and the adjustment? Because I know there's so many things that go with that. And I have a couple of friends that are still playing overseas. It's quite a lot and people don't realize it.
I mean, it's a humbling journey. If you get into the journey and think that you're going to be praised and different things like that, then you're in it for the wrong reasons. Um, I got into it. I left my university. I did the MBA route. I found out that the MBA was a lot of uh, more politics than what I was dealing with in college. And I just figured it was better for me to go overseas and learn different cultures. And one thing about me is I use basketball as a tool.
Mm.
It's not who I am. So basketball is definitely just a thing that I use to learn different things in the spirit realm to get closer to my God, Yahweh.
Mm.
So
So
like,
so so basketball doesn't define you. It's just one extra thing in your toolbox to be a higher version of yourself, pretty much.
right, basketball gives me a voice.
Mm. Hmm.
Without basketball or talent that's gonna catch the eyes of people, your voice really doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? So like basketball is something that I use to have a voice for God's people, for Yahweh's people, and
Mm-hmm.
that's my mission. Like my mission is to serve. My mission is to be here and to help others, and the ones who don't have a voice, I speak for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be the sacrificial lamb. I'll take the scrutiny. I'll take all that. You know what I mean? So
Okay, so then let's talk about being the voice. Recently, you made the comment on J.Cole and the Shade Room. Actually, that's the owner of the Shade is actually family, so to speak. We've been known them for like forever. But I noticed on that platform that you had easily over 20,000 comments on your commentary. On your commentary on the J. Cole thing. And it was a split half, right? Half of the people were in support. The other half were like, oh, give a brother an opportunity. Of course, people can do more than one thing, and they should be able to explore it. And of course, they had the analogy with football and all kinds of stuff. But let's break it down on what exactly you were trying to say and get into the nuances so people understand this stuff is real, for sure. Go ahead.
well, it's a battle of the spirit and it's a battle of the mind. So like the ones who were against me don't understand that I'm being the voice for the people who are like them. You know what I'm saying? The ones who struggled, the ones who have a dream and they can't achieve it because of politics. That's the point that they missed. And the ones who were with me were the ones who, I'm not going to say have a brain, but they're the ones who understand what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? And one thing about my people and God's people, we're not fans of people of this world. I'm a fan of the ones who stand up for the Almighty God, and the ones who put in an effort to become something that they want to be and stay strong through the politics and through the hurt and through the pain.
Okay,
You
so
know,
let's break it down a little bit more in terms that whether you believe in God or not, one can understand what you're trying to say. Specifically, you said it's disrespectful, and I want to understand that comment in the context of basketball and what it takes, even for the players, professional players, because the issue is not that if you have the experience as a trained basketball player, you can't go play. The issue is that you're in a completely different field and that there are people who have trained for this for a lifetime and want the opportunity, right? So
exactly.
break it down even more though on
Um,
on on the
well,
specifics of
well,
playing
exactly,
in the
exactly. You know what
BAL.
I'm saying? Well, first of all, I gave pros and cons. When
Yes.
you're a child, when you're in school, they tell you write down the negatives and the positives of things. So that's simply what I did. I was asked a question by ESPN and I gave pros and cons. I said, the positive thing about it is that he brings attention to the league, which is fine. And most likely he probably brings money to the league, which is fine. That's great. The cons of it, the negative thing about it is that there's people who've been working their whole life for this opportunity to play in the NBA BAL. This league is not a slouch. Like it's sponsored by the NBA. There's guys who are working their tails off every day for this opportunity, and for some guy who wants to promote his album. That's really what it was about. I'll say it. I don't care. I'll be the truth. Who wants to promote his album and come and play basketball and act like being a professional is not really being a professional. Like there's guys out here that can play. I know it's not the NBA, but the NBA is nothing but entertainment anyway. It's not guys who are playing with their heart every day, to with their passion. These are guys who are prima donnas, and it's a lot of politics in that. And for him to come to Africa and think that he's just going to come and be a professional athlete, never play pro in his life, I felt like it was disrespectful to the game, and I felt like it was disrespectful to the people of Africa, and the Americans that are back home. See, I'm from Arizona, so when I was back home, I was training with a lot of professional athletes who are very positive in the fact of thinking that they're going to get a job the next day. A lot of people don't understand that the industry is very up and down. You could have a job one day, not have a job the next day. So what we have to do as
Absolutely.
professional athletes is stay prepared on a day-to-day basis, because you don't want to get that phone call and you're not prepared. So I was simply speaking for the ones who don't have that voice, the
Mhm.
ones who are at home with a family to feed and are wondering why they don't have a job.
Mhm.
Well, this job you don't have because this multi-millionaire rapper decides to come and play.
All right. So, and that's to me, it's a very important point that you make. I want to talk about a little bit on. Often you don't necessarily see, although that's changing with technology. You don't necessarily see our brothers and sisters here in the States speaking up for, hey, have a different perspective of Africa. It's always Africans trying to explain themselves and say, no, we're not what you see on TV. We have so much going on more. And I thought, in my view, you may disagree, but in my view, I thought that J.Cole playing in the BAL sort of went, and you could see it with what people were saying. It supported that stereotypical view of Africans, because they were like, oh, well, at least he's helping them. Oh, those people, I can't imagine what they're going through, and he can bring money in. So let's first talk about, having played as long as you have on the continent, what that experience is, and that perception that gets in the way of the BAL maybe really, really being even more amplified than it already is.
Well, for me, I've always been a man of the people. Like I said, I've always used basketball as just a tool. And ever since I've been here in Africa, I've met some of the most beautiful people who I've ever met in my life. And let's get one thing straight. Like, America is a place that's called the place of the free, but the people are most slaved in the mind. So like they only believe the media. They don't do research for themselves. They have a picture of their in their mind that America is the only place on earth that can function. So like when you get a guy like a multi-million-dollar rapper that comes here, and automatically the people are gonna think, he's helping them out. At least he's giving back to the motherland. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of the Americans, the black community, don't even know their heritage, so they call it the motherland. And a lot of them are not even from Africa. They don't even know. You know what I'm saying? So like it's just this kind of situation goes against the grain as far as like understanding in the spirit realm. So it's more than just basketball and this guy that's coming here and playing. It has to do with respect, understanding the country that you're playing in, respecting the culture that you're playing in, and coming correct. When you go into a hood, I'm from the hood, so like when you go into a hood, you don't just go into a hood and just, oh, I'm here in this hood. You got to understand the people, where you're at, who owns the hood, and you have to come with respect. And I felt like it wasn't that with this situation.
Yeah. So even though I share the same perspective as you, my belief, and I already explained why I believe that, and as to the marketing and promotions and people saying, oh, the money gets to Africa, I call that complete baloney. And I say, follow the money and you'll see that it's actually going out, not in my perspective. So even though I share that, let's offer a different perspective. And I think it's a valid argument that's been made from the other side that, you know what, you do. J. Cole is almost unique because he didn't just like get up and go play in a league, so to speak. He has, a extensive background history in basketball. He loves the game. He's good at it, right? Even though he may not have scored a lot of points while he was in the BAL, but it doesn't make a difference because at the end of the day, he's a player, someone who continues to practice and keep up with the game. So for someone in that position, why shouldn't they, like, from your perspective, why shouldn't they still have that opportunity? Let's say he didn't have all the money he did, but exact same situation, would he or should he get that opportunity?
Um, First of all, someone who's not in his position. First of all, let's get something straight. I have nothing against the brother.
Yeah, we're
You know
not
what I'm
talking
saying?
about that. It's
Yeah,
not.
you know what I mean? I got to
Mhm.
make that straight because a lot of
Yeah.
people, they might misconstrue this and think that nah, never. I don't have anything against my brothers and sisters, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm. Hmm.
And second of all, to answer your question, a person only in his position can do what they just did.
Hmm.
I know people who play college basketball at a high level that didn't just walk on a team, but they played basketball and they even played in the NBA and they can't get jobs right now.
Hmm.
So like, let's get one thing straight. That dude came here because of who he is and the position that he has in life. I'm not against anyone pursuing their dreams. I'm just against someone who's using who they are to take a job away from someone who is trying to pursue their dreams.
Hmm. Hmm. Very interesting. Yeah. Okay. So your point is well taken. And I think for me, another thing that really struck a chord with your statements was the whole COVID thing, right? So we know that on the continent, it's even more emphasized beyond the challenges that just sports in general has on the continent. We have a lot of our African players that are playing in European leagues, are playing all over the world. In the NBA, at least 40 going through. So far, so good.
Yeah.
And in future, I really believe, give it 2-3 years, you're going to really have a strong pipeline of African players that are going to dominate the game in the U.S. No question about it, including here, first generation, second generation Africans that are already, prepping up for that. So I get all.
Include me in that. I'm one of y'all.
Yeah,
Include me
of
in that
course,
play.
of course, of course. Actually, if you do the DNA,
Yeah.
most African Americans have at least 20 to 30%, um, you know, of African heritage. I mean, like all Africans, but specific regions, for example, they come at least 20 to 30% DNA of being, for example, Nigerian. And of course, we're all brothers and sisters. And I think that's an important thing to draw that distinction, that it's not about the person, it's the profession we're addressing, right? So it's not about, oh, you can't go to the BAL, just like Terrell, you are in the BAL. So for us to say it's not, you have to be, for example, African to play, that would be ridiculous and preposterous, right?
Right,
That's
right.
not the criteria. The criteria is, I'm a lawyer. If I want to be a lawyer, I got to go to school. I've got to do 3-4 years of total 7 years of training to get my degree. And then there's so many other steps. I can't just go into court and start arguing cases, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So you're just like, they might throw me in jail. In fact, there's a rule that they will throw you in jail because you're doing unauthorized practice of law.
Yes.
So you're saying that there are certain set criteria similarly, and for those set criteria, it must be honored. And then, of course, the people, respect culture, etc., that you've talked about and we've sort of covered. So let me start getting ready to wrap this thing up. I want you to talk more specifically about the challenges, as the NBA talks about what they want to do with the BAL and roll it out and everything else. What are some of the unique challenges of playing in the Basketball African League? And be very direct, because I know on the European League, there's some real intense challenges. So what are the challenges as a player, whether the club, everything else that goes with it? I'd be curious to hear your perspective.
Man, a lot of challenges. You know what I'm
Please
saying?
share.
I don't know how many I can say online, but it's just
Please share.
it's a lot of challenges. I mean, first of all, we played in a bubble due to COVID. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about a whole bunch of group of guys who got to play against each other, but see each other every day for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Let's talk about not being able to leave the hotel and pretty much stay in your room for the first week and no practices. We didn't get to practice with our team for a whole week. You know what I'm saying? So we were doing virtual practices.
Oh, really? How did that work?
Yeah.
I've never heard of that. What is that?
Of course not. You're not gonna hear about it. But this is what we had to endure. I'll tell you. You know what I'm saying? Like, so yeah, that's what we had to endure.
What is that? You guys are on Zoom and you're sort of practicing and everybody's seeing each other on Zoom?
Exactly, for the first
Wow.
week.
That's interesting.
Getting tested every day. Got to wake up early to be tested every day. They give you 3 different apps that you have to fill in information every day. It was like I'm not going to say being in prison, but it was like, the first week they had to bring food to you. You couldn't even leave your room. You had to stay in there every day, all day. They're bringing food to you. You got to eat everything they give you.
That's interesting.
Yeah, you don't have a choice. You're eating this.
Mm-hmm.
So
this is all because of COVID, though, right?
Yeah, we was in a bubble.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
like what I'm saying is like these guys are more than basketball players. These guys are disciplined. I speak for all the fellas who were in there. We were all disciplined. We did our job. You know, it wasn't just us just getting together and playing basketball. People think that's what it is. You know, you don't understand what we have to endure on a day-to-day basis to do that. See, basketball's fun, but there's a price you got to pay to do that. You know
What
what I'm
about
saying?
before COVID? What are some of the challenges you've observed, whether it's equipment, whether it's, funding and budget, generally, what are some of the observations you've observed prior to COVID, in
Oh,
playing in the
playing
BAL?
professional.
Yeah.
You got to do a lot of things. You got to deal with different cultures. Some cultures feel like if you lose a game, you don't get paid. You know, some cultures their economy is down, so they don't have enough money to pay you every month.
Yeah.
You know, you got to deal
Know
with
that.
you got to deal with your team not understanding your language, and you got to adjust to them, or you're talked about as not fit for the team. You know, there's a lot of things that people endure, and that's why I made the comments I made, because I'm like, yo, there's guys who sacrifice their life. See, people in the States don't get this. They think,
Yeah.
oh, sacrificing your life means chasing your dream and you just get to play basketball. No, like there's dudes that come out here, go through hell for a full year to play basketball because of their love and passion for the game. So that's who I spoke for. You know,
And what's Go ahead. Go ahead.
there's nothing against anybody. I have nothing against nobody. I peace and love all day. But the truth hurts people
Yeah.
who don't have truth in them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like the ones who have truth in them, they understand truth when it's spoken. But the ones who have no truth in them and they live a lie every day, they're the ones who have problems with the truth.
That's deep. And very interesting as well, when you talk about the language and all the other things. I think one of the bigger highlights, too, added to what you're saying, is being away from home and family, even on the continent, even when you're playing in the BAL, etc. You're still away from your family. You're not able to connect. You're traveling from one country to another, beyond the rigors that come from that. And that's a big part. And then I'll add an extra one, and I think that's why that J.Cole discussion you had, and I appreciate your candidness in bringing that to the forefront for so many players that maybe felt like they would be ostracized or, targeted if they spoke. Is that for an African player, for example, the stuff hits very differently, and like I said, I'm the sibling of someone who played professionally, right? So it hits differently because that money is not just going to them; it's going to their villages and relatives and all that stuff for the most
Right,
part.
right,
Yeah,
right,
there's
right.
some successful African
And
players that don't need all of that, but it really hits differently
and
on the
look,
continent.
I don't want
So
to cut
that
you off. I
economic
won't cut
part,
you off, but look,
go
look,
ahead.
it gets deeper than that. So you got to understand, as an
Mhm.
African basketball player, and I know this because I'm talking to them and they're telling me this. A lot of them, this is their dream. Some of them will never get to the NBA. The NBA BAL is their NBA. So for them to lose that opportunity to someone who just wants to promote their album or just wants to try it out is highly disrespectful. I'm not gonna take that away just because people are upset. It's the truth, you know.
I hear you. I hear you. And like I said, I resonate with your point from so many different angles, because it's truly a lived experience. And unless you walk through it or know someone who's walked through it, you really can't say, And I think to some extent, a lot of us here in the States are super sheltered. So we really usually just don't get things the way
Very
we
much
should
so.
get it.
Very much so. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I really appreciate you for coming. Any last thing you want to share with our audience watching, and also your projects and how we can support you? I love that you're doing so well. What you're about to be already on your way. Let me see. Your IG said on your way to be an MVP, right, for the BAL,
I
right?
will speak on that. That's what others
That's
say.
that's what
I
the
don't.
news story said. ESPN, Terrell Stoglin becomes first player to score 40 points in a basketball Africa League game.
Well, God bless them. You
That's
know,
what's up.
I don't. Yeah, I don't. You know, I don't speak for that. And for ones who want to support me, God bless you. You know where I stand. You know, I stand for the tribe of Judah. You know, God's warriors. And the last thing I want to say is just, God bless everybody. Peace and love. Keep God first. if you don't believe in God, then keep doing right by people, and everything will work out for you. And,
Well, I appreciate you, my brother. Thank you for the candidness. Thank you for the honesty with the conversation, and thank you for standing firm with your convictions. Because I think to me, it's always about, regardless of what you believe, stand firm in what you believe, and regardless of the heat, and stay consistent because you thought through it before you said it. Otherwise, you shouldn't say it. So I appreciate you saying, you know what, here are my values, here are my convictions on this issue, here's where I stand, and it is what it is on that. And let people react however they want to react, but you're going to keep doing what you're doing. So I appreciate that. The other thing
and I trust you. Like, don't be like ESPN. Don't change my words. Don't.
It's literally
don't
replayed. You're going to see it once we end the broadcast. It's available on YouTube and Facebook, and you can watch it, and no one's changing anything. I'm not in the business of changing. Never that, for sure. As a journalist over time, I've had people ask me to change things, and I'm like, it stands. Unless there's some crazy compelling reason, it stands. But the final thing I was going to say is I really, really appreciate you, because the essence of why I even started this whole African Music Law platform, and I've been talking and promoting Africa for the past 14 years here in the States, is because of that stereotype and that misconception of who we are, and the consistent lack of respect, whether you're talking music, fashion, film, the arts, sports. And we've had to fight and earn it, right? Because everybody else has been so busy saying and telling our narratives, to the point where our brothers and sisters in other parts of the world don't even want to identify with being African. Now it's cool to be African, but before it wasn't. So I appreciate people that can stand up and say, let's step back, fall back, and really question things. And even the Africans on the continent that were justifying what I think was very ridiculous and saying, oh, it's a business decision. I forget the name of that executive. That I think it was a woman executive too, that I called out on the nonsense. You can't tell me it's an executive decision, because when you look at the marketing and promotions, then if it is an executive decision or business decision, J.Cole needs to be trying out for the NBA, and let other people be over there trying out whatever they need to. Plus, you have the funding from the NBA. So you could put the marketing dollars and promotion to get the BAL where it needs to be. So what are you talking about? It's the business decision. Like, for all the way back with that, that's not even going to cut it. So I appreciate.
There you go. You're talking real. There you go.
No, I appreciate you, like, straight up speaking on behalf of your people, the continent, as much as you speak on behalf of the folks here too. The people here, which is that exploitation of athletes that you talked about, college athletes, and saying, I'm valuable. You're not going to make all this money off me, and I'm going to just go make my money. And if I need to go back to school, I could always get online. Thank God for COVID now, right? Post-COVID world, people now know we can all get a degree, So that's what I mean when I say thank God for whatever, it's like, oh, post-COVID world, you can get a degree online. In the meantime, I'm not going to let somebody else go make money off me. So I appreciate it. Thanks for coming on. This was great. I'm going to let you go now so we can get on to the next few topics. But thank you. Unless you got something to say on trademark law, then hey, come with it. All right. Take care. Have a good one. Thank you for joining me on the Ask Miss Uduak segment. Cheers. Okay, bye. All right, folks, that's it from Terrell. And there is a colleague of mine who has been a super loyal fan. Hold on a sec. Let me see if I can do this. You all wait. Actually, first, let me show you what we're talking about. And we've just already done one. So the first one was addressing the J.Cole playing in the BAL. And we had Terrell Stoglin who made the comment that J.Cole had no business being in the Basketball Africa League. And for you, if you are just joining, J.Cole is one of the top musicians in the US with one of the top albums, and has a new album coming out. Actually, it's already out. So he has an extensive background in playing basketball from high school to college, among other things, but chose a career in music and is at the height of his career. However, he still pursued his passion, if you will, for basketball in recent times by playing in the BAL. And so Terrell spoke about, you can't just go from being a musician to all of a sudden coming into a professional league and playing just because you want to play, have always wanted to play. There's so much that goes into this, and the respect factor and the resource, among other things. So we just addressed that. Terrell came on to address that issue. And now we're going to go to talking about Yoruba being trademarked in the UK and show Dem Camp. If we have time, we'll talk about Warner's partnership with Diamond Platnumz, who is a Tanzanian artist, and he's doing some great things. So for that, I do have a colleague of mine who's been following African music law from day one, and his birthday is coming up. Not only is his birthday coming up, he also practices in the jurisdiction of Nigeria. And since this concerns Yoruba, and I'm going to talk about Yoruba, I still want to just send him a link before I begin this discussion, where we are going to send him a link to invite him, where we're going to talk about trademark law. So stay and bear with me as I get in touch with Rockson Igelige. Let's see if he is coming on here to just show my appreciation for his longtime support of the brand, and to also talk to him a little bit about that. In the meantime, I'll get you all started with Yoruba. So Roxanne, if you're watching this, I just sent you on Facebook a link to the platform that I'm on right now, so you can join me and we can talk about trademark law specific to Yoruba, and also talk about, in addition, the SDC case, the Show Dem Camp case. So, all right. So let me go and specifically focus in on trademark law on the Yoruba situation. So there is a group out of the UK, well, 2 UK British retailers, and they decided that they wanted to trademark Yoruba. Actually, they've already done it a long time ago, I think 4 or 5 years ago. And let me hold on one second. So the name of the company is Timbuktu. And that is actually a reference to a city in Mali. So you have these 2 British retailers that then decided to trademark Yoruba. Now, the uniqueness about Yoruba is an ethnic name of a particular group of people found in West Africa, and specifically Nigeria and other parts of West Africa as well. So this British retailers successfully trademarked Yoruba, and then some years later, you have a Yoruba person, right? A woman of Yoruba heritage, who runs a platform called Culture 3 TV, and she teaches the Yoruba language. So she decided that she wanted to trademark Yoruba as well, but Yoruba, I forget what her specific name was going to be, but she wanted to do Yoruba and another segment, like for the particular work that she does. And when she did that, she was stunned to find out that she was rejected by the UK's IP office. And when she was rejected by the UK IP's office, it's only to find out that there's already a company, Timbuktu company, that had trademarked Yoruba and was preventing her from actually using it. So she, of course, took to Twitter, and she shared, not of course, but she decided to take to Twitter, shared all the information about Yoruba being trademarked already, said it's cultural appropriation, and that story went viral, and it's just all over the place now, where all major news headlines are carrying the story. So the question is, can you appropriate someone else's culture, and does she have a right? Is it cultural appropriation, and does Timbuktu have a right to trademark Yoruba? Now, since all of the controversy, Timbuktu have said they will surrender Yoruba, the trademark, to back, so that obviously they'll give up the whole the whole rights they have in the Yoruba trademark name. Very, very interesting topic. I hope I did justice in just stating all the basic facts. But the question is, how can you trademark, or should you trademark, the language or heritage of a particular tribe? Obviously, the answer, at least on my end, is no. But I think the first things we need to answer is, okay, what exactly is a trademark and why are we even dealing with it? So trademark in both the UK, the US, and Nigeria, since we're talking about the Nigerian region, is more so what's called a source identifier, where it distinguishes a good and service from another good and service, right? So specifically, the source identifier can be your slogan. It can be, I have my colleague here, Rockson, that will join us pretty soon. It could be your logo, your symbol. It could be color. It could be sound. When you think about trademark, think about, for example, Nike. Nike, the brand, is trademarked, and then the swoosh, the slogan, "Just do it," is also trademarked, right? So the reason why you do or would register a trademark is for so many things, right? The ability to be able to license and monetize and make money off of that. But one of the reasons why governments protect trademark is a concept called likelihood of confusion. The idea is we don't want to confuse the public when someone else has taken the time, effort to build brand equity. So you decided that you wanted to start Nike, and you've spent so much money, time, efforts, and built Nike to a worldwide brand, and someone just shows up. They didn't do all that work. They didn't spend all that resource or all those resources, and all of a sudden they too want to be Nike, and now they're making up, shoes, and it's all tagged Nike. That's obviously not fair. That's obviously runs against helping creators to feel confident that they can pursue their creativity. Hence why you have trademark law that helps protect that creativity, that helps want to create and encourage you to continue the creativity. So let me just stop right there and invite my colleague Rockson, as we just talk a little bit more on that trademark law, and then we'll delve into the SDC and more about the Yoruba heritage part. So Rockson, welcome. It's been a minute. How are you?
Fine.
You've been following the brand. I want to thank you so much. You're a staunch and big supporter. I think you always watch practically every live stream and support every newsletter, everything. Thank you, and happy birthday to you coming up June 1st. It's the big 50, right? You've been sharing it everywhere. Congratulations.
Yeah. Madam One is coming up on the second too.
Okay, Madame being your wife, right?
Yeah.
Oh, so you're June 1st and she's June 2nd?
My mother is even saying that maybe there was a mistake in my birth certificate. My ought to be June 2nd. I said, no, let the mistake just be like that.
That is awesome. That is awesome.
If it is a mistake, I can't at this stage change it.
You both were meant to be together. June 1st and for you, and June 2nd for her. That is awesome. Congratulations. Any particular plan to celebrate your birthday? What are your plans to celebrate your big 50?
Well, now because of the state we find ourselves, the COVID-19, and a whole lot of persons, they have not taken their vaccine, a whole lot. So it's just going to be just social media celebration.
Okay.
But at the right time,
you have
we'll get ourselves together. I'm not in Lagos or Abuja, I'm in Warri, and in this part of this world, the junior lawyers are still very far away from these new areas of law. So I intend to put a team together in conjunction with the NBA, they will reach out to them, because most of them are still talking about land law, criminal law, though there's nothing wrong in that. But you just look, if the generation, if those coming behind now, we don't have the younger ones, who are those to fill in the gap?
Okay. Yeah, that sounds very, very interesting. It sounds like I'm echoing. Do you have me somewhere else too? Or it's just, do you have any other device with this? Because when you talk, I'm hearing an echo. Do you have a different device to switch off and just make sure?
No different device.
Okay, all right. Okay. So let's get into. Oh, you're freezing out? Okay, there you go.
Lecture. That's a way of marking it.
Okay, let's get into specifically the the trademark stuff I was just starting to talk about. What's your trademark law over in Nigeria on just define it for us, although we're spending our time in the UK, but I'm just sort of curious for you and others watching to explain on the trademark law in Nigeria. Yes, I can. Yes, go ahead.
Okay.
Roxanne, can you just define for our audience trademark law specific to Nigeria?
Hello?
Because you cannot hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I can hear you.
Okay, so define for our audience trademark law in Nigeria. What is a trademark in Nigeria? Oh, okay, so his connection was not working. He got disconnected. All right, so let's move on then to that discussion I was already having. Several things I already defined what a trademark is. You know, in the U.S., the specific language is it's a word, a design, slogan, sound, or color or symbol that identifies and distinguishes a good or service from another. But the fastest, quickest way we say is it's a source identifier that distinguishes one good or service from another. So I already sort of explained what that really looks like, what that background is as a source identifier. Roxon is here, but I explained that. The next thing is the policy reason, which I already explained. The rationale is we want to make sure that consumers are not confused specifically about one product versus the other product. And we also want to encourage creativity and encourage commerce in the creative sector, where creators can feel confident that if they put in their marketing dollars and everything else behind things that they create, or brands that they create, or businesses that they create, that they're not going to have a situation where someone just comes and out of bad will, they are able to profit off all of their hard work. So that's the concept behind that. We really protect the goodwill of a mark, among other things. And then the question then is, if you have a trademark in the US, how does that work in terms of protection? We get into a whole different discussion on the strength of a trademark. The stronger and more distinctive your mark is, the more likely you will get trademark registration. Whereas if it's not, the less likely you'll get that protection or registration for the mark. So in the UK and Nigeria, similar things. You should have a distinctive name, and that helps with ensuring that you can have that trademark registered successfully. So going back to the UK situation with this Timbuktu company, clearly it sounds like they're really into Africa, because the owners are allegedly two white UK British retailers. So they own Timbuktu, which is a Mali city, and now they've trademarked Yoruba. So they have a thing for Africa, apparently. But based on all of the outrage, then it became, how can you trademark the name of an ethnic group? Like, there's got to be a line. Are you kidding me? And now that all that controversy has come up, they've decided to move forward and surrender the trademark. So let's get an opinion from Rockson on his perspective on that. Rockson, what are your thoughts, having heard what happened in the UK and that group of retailers trademarking Yoruba?
Now, you know all IP are territorial.
Yes, but break it down for our audience. Don't speak where they don't really
When I mean territorial, if it can be protectable in Nigeria here, it might not be protectable in Ghana. That is, different countries have their own different rules.
Yes,
I saw the argument on trademark.
Yes,
and the only way, because of the world has turned to global village, maybe if you are signatory to World Intellectual Property Organization and you are part of the Madrid arrangement, it means that your mark can be protected in about 180 something countries. But Nigeria is not signatory to it. This is not like copyright. Copyright is automatic and we are signatory to that. So that means, yeah, UK, US, Dubai, other places that are signatory to WIPO, we might get protection. But that of trademark in Nigeria is not the same thing. This
Yeah.
is not like the internet where you register, where the jurisdiction of the internet is the whole world. Trademark is territorial.
Yeah. Country by country
Now,
specifically. Yeah.
I haven't agreed that trademark is territorial from country to country different. The next question that those persons that had wanted to register that word Yoruba in the real sense of it, if we are going by the Nigerian Trademark Act, can they register it? Can you wake up and say you want to register the word Igbo? In Nigeria, yeah, they will not allow you. Except they will say go and get a written note from Ohanize organization. If it is Yoruba, Fenefere, if it is other tribe, they will answer you. Go and get a written note from the social-cultural organization. Do they have power themselves to say they want to register that word Yoruba? Because the UK organization that registered that Yoruba, to start with, they might not be aware of what Yoruba means. What they will do is to check their system and to see if anybody has registered, because these things in place has its own limitation. Then a word protectable in Nigeria here, can that still be protectable in UK? Which adapt is going to be this singular art is going to be what researchers has to go back to the drawing board, and it's not just that easy to say, oh, they are wrong, because if you look at it carefully, registering Yoruba in UK, they might not be wrong if you go by the trademark act.
So let me stop you there and chime in on my opinion on the topic as well. I do agree with you that trademark is territorial. So just because I have a trademark here in the US doesn't mean I can just go to Nigeria and have, the same trademark. I have to take active steps to register my trademark in Nigeria. So it is territorial unless, as you mentioned, you have those organizational relationships that then you can register it in the 180 countries we just talked about. But independent of that, right, I think there's a further question to ask. And the further question is two things. Number one, should countries be in the business of maybe telling each other, which might go into that sort of similar Berne Convention treaty kind of relationship, to say, you can't obviously register the name of our ethnic groups. You could say that. So should countries do that? Does Nigeria, for example, have to tell the UK, hey, UK intellectual property organization responsible for the registration, you can't let any of your citizens register any of our folks' tribal names because it's unique to us. Should they do that? That's one thing. And then number two, an important point to underscore is in most countries, including the US, in the US, we have the US Patent and Trademark Office. They're responsible for registering those trademarks. It's not their job or that of their staff to do all the research for you to determine whether your word should be registered or not. They're going to, as you say, look in their database. And if it's not been registered and it's unique, Yoruba is a unique name, they're most likely going to register it, right? And then they put out the proper statements out there for purposes of anyone who wants to come and object to that particular registration before it becomes the final registration of the word or the phrase or the slogan or whatever the case may be. So I think those two questions, I'm curious to hear your opinion. Do you think governments should be about, in this case, the Nigerian government should be saying, hey, the UK, what's going on? Isn't this obvious that you should not be registering the name of a tribe? And then the second one, the duty of the person registering, is their job to go say, Yoruba is an ethnic name. It's probably not a good idea. The name of an ethnic group, it's probably not a good idea to trademark it. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think the government, Ministry of Information and Culture, stands in a better position. Ministry of Information and Culture stands in a better position.
Okay. What do you mean?
For the agitation, because like what I said, researchers will go back and in few weeks, few days, there might be a lot of articles on whether registering of Yoruba in UK, knowing fully well that we are not signatory to the trademark arrangement in WIPO, whether our mark can be protected outside Nigeria. Don't also forget, if, example now, Uduak, you register it in class 21, class 20 or 21, I can still register Uduak in class 41.
That's true.
You understand?
Yeah.
So far, it is not the same product and services in the same country.
Yeah.
You know, so most people shouting, they are shouting, I think, because to start with, the person who had wanted to even register that Yoruba, has he the legal capability to go to use the name of tribe? He doesn't.
You
So
know,
it's a case
that's what I was saying too, that the person, you have the Timbuktu people who registered Yoruba, but then there was the person herself of Yoruba heritage challenging the registration herself. I think she had, I can't remember, why am I forgetting the name of her? I'll try to see if I can pull it up. But Yoruba something, and it's like both of what she was using. I think Yoruba Stars was what it was. And Yoruba Stars is technically, yeah, it was Yoruba Stars. Yoruba Stars, I was saying, doesn't even qualify her technically to register it in the UK, because we do have Yoruba Stars. They're the Nollywood Yoruba industry. And she wants to use it for her cultural language company that she uses to teach people. And I thought that's unfair too. Even her herself doesn't have the standing to, I would reject the application if I was the intellectual property office in the UK, because we do have Yoruba Stars, the entire Nollywood Yoruba part. But anyway, let me see. We have someone that has a comment. So let me quickly show that, and then we'll go back to our conversation. Yeah, boy, Freaky says, I get the good brother speaking knowledge and passion, but this is a very lopsided opinion of what J. Cole was trying to accomplish. Oh, that was the previous discussion that we had. Yeah, boy, please feel free to tell us what exactly is lopsided about it. Feel free to indicate specifically, because you say it's lopsided, but you haven't covered what that really means. So please feel free. Okay, going back to the discussion that we're having here. Let me see. Okay, so he says blaming the bigger issue on one rapper's decision to try to do something positive is not very spiritual at all. All right. Okay, thank you, your boy, for your perspective. I appreciate it. And I'm sure Terrell will see it, and he can always respond if he decides to. But I think he really covered the issue extensively and from all kinds of different angles. And I happen to agree with him, although I do see the point that you're trying to make as well. But I happen to agree with him. So let's go back to the Yoruba point. I thought that, Rockson. So I thought the person that was even challenging the Timbuktu person, the Timbuktu British retailers, that she also should be called to question on wanting to register Yoruba Stars. What are your thoughts on those? Do you agree or disagree on that perspective?
Yeah, I agree. And the Yoruba as an ethnic nationality is also opportunity for them to wake up, you understand, and do something about it. And also, the Nigerian government is also opportunity for them to address issues relating to, because they don't take the government, they don't take matters relating to intellectual property.
Intellectual property, yeah. Seriously.
Right. Look at the trademark issue now. We're not signatory to the Madrid arrangement in WIPO. You understand?
Yeah.
I was trying to, Sophia in London, was produced by Kingsley Ogoro, and last month also somebody approached him that he wants to produce a kind of license to produce a Sophia in Dubai. You understand? So we are need that I should produce the license agreement. I wrote it, I dropped it for him. I said, well, if your people, if they challenge this agreement, that means they're not sincere. This license that I prepared for you to give to them, if they raise any issue, know that they are not sincere people. The Nigerian system is a very funny system. After 3 months, 5 more, how many months, so the thing just collapsed. You understand? So we were talking about how is trademark and go around the whole world. I said, look, it's not like copyright. Trademark, we are not part of the WIPO arrangement under trademark. Except maybe you enter like a US or Ghana or any African country that is part of it to register, so that your mark can cover like a 180 something country, can be enforced there. But
Yeah.
for now, under the Nigerian arrangement, we are not part of the system.
So maybe this is a wake-up call for the Nigerian government to step up.
It's a wake-up call. It's a wake-up call. The whole of Nigeria Copyright Commission, their allocation for 1 year, I doubt if it is more than even 4 million naira. That 4 million naira inclusive of their traveling allowance, training. So is it not funny for a country where we are saying we've started winning Grammy? Because when we say entertainment, both sport, music, Nollywood,
everything,
and the only name we have as in Nigeria is coming from the entertainment world. From the other aspect is zero. We are not getting any good. Where Nigeria is getting named from is the entertainment. And such a country, they don't want to invest on it, but whether in laws, what will it cost them?
Yeah.
What will it cost them to invest? We're talking of laws and money for the relevant agency to work. If you go to trademark office, they are still a manual. Their website is laughable. So we're not serious. It should be a wake-up call. And I think we have gotten to the stage where most stakeholders, we are going to set aside a day and concentrate on these people. Concentrate on them and push them so that some of these things, they can do some of these things. So it should be the issue of the Yoruba, this thing, is debatable, whichever way you look at it, whether from left or right. It's like saying 1 + 1 in literature.
Okay, so I'll stop you there, Roxanne. I think we've covered that a little bit on both ends, and the synopsis and gist of it is twofolds. Number one, the Nigerian government needs to step up on ensuring it's protecting a lot more of the IP rights of the country, specifically on the folklore and tribal part area. Like, it's not really doing that and needs to, and put more money and infrastructure into that part. And then on the UK end, with respect to that registration, I think it's a good thing that the UK British retailers realize that it's just absurd to register the ethnic name Yoruba, especially for a very active, functional group of people whose history are well told all over the world, including in Western universities, for that matter. The language is taught, the people and the history of the people are taught in a lot of schools, even here in the US. And then the second part is for the person even challenging the Timbuktu person, she herself needs to evaluate the registration of Yoruba stars, which was rejected by the Intellectual Property Office. And if she went back again to re-register it, now that the name is being surrendered, I think she should reconsider it, because there's an active, huge group of Yoruba statements out there for purposes of Roxanne, you have something going and it's causing a sound thing. So please ensure that you're not having me somewhere else. So, and then the very last point of, ensuring that the Yoruba stars is also something that the person who wants to register Yoruba stars in the UK rethinks that we do have Yoruba stars, and you can't get a monopoly over that in the UK, because a lot of our Yoruba stars do show up in the UK. Before we go to the final discussion I want to have, because it's already past the time, and we have right after this continued conversation of all of these topics in the African Music Law Clubhouse. So if you're on Clubhouse, please find us, African Music Law. This will be our first event where we talk specifically about all these topics. And that takes me to your comments here, boy Freaky. I see you're super, super invested in the discussion on the J.Cole topic. So let me just put some of the points you've raised on this issue, and then we'll move on to the final topic of SDC, and then take everything else on Clubhouse. So your boy, let's see what you're saying here. All right, so you say blaming the bigger issues on one rapper's decision to try to do something positive is not very spiritual. You had said that. Okay, I read that before. And then you said he's not responsible for the guys who couldn't get jobs or were dynamic enough, I guess, or were not dynamic enough on the court to catch the approval of WE gatekeepers. And then furthermore, it's really common for US players to find a sponsor or rep to scout them overseas. So because he's a celebrity, it's disrespectful to do anything because somewhere somebody's working really hard to get or do the same. Cole could play in the D League and WE leagues beneath that if he wanted. Okay, so if he wanted the album promotion, trust he didn't need the promotion or the album to stay wealthy. Let the man work, watch the deals that unfold, and then talk. Shake my head. You've been disrespectful, chalking it up to just that as an album promotion ploy. This could have been an opportunity to breach cultures, but you worried about the one struggling baller who decided to put his entire life into a game. Dude must have just got work. He seems to suffer from a little savior complex. All people waking up go through it, but his spirituality is still very young. Okay, I hear you, boy. I happen to disagree with you. Look through our entire conversation and see specifically the discussion that I had from my perspective as well. I think Terrell's point is well grounded, and I approach it from a fact that I also have a sibling who played professionally and the realities of what he experienced on the ground, on the continent. And I know so many other players in that category of what it takes to win a spot on a team. And then, of course, the trajectory of the entire professional sports, becoming a professional player. I do think that just because, and I posed that question as well to Terrell, that, you do make some legit points, which is, hey, J.Cole is very experienced in playing basketball overall. Should he specifically decide he wants to go pursue, what's wrong with that? And you'll see how I addressed it. I don't want to go back and belabor the point, but watch through the entire thing to see how I address it. But I'm going to be done with that particular conversation. If you want to continue it and have an extensive discussion and we chop this up, please join me in Clubhouse because we're going to break it down even more right after this. Okay, so Rockson, let's finalize this whole thing and then take the rest of the conversation over to Clubhouse. For whatever reason, I'm echoing and I'm concerned because we convert this to the podcast, and I need to make sure my audience doesn't have this even in post-production, that it's not too much post-production work. So please mute anything that is giving feedback on my voice. All right, so Roxanne, the very last thing, we're going to the UK. I know you've dealt with some cases in the UK. I've even interacted with you on the back end in terms of lawyer litigation related work. So the UK, we have an interesting case. We have a band in Nigeria. So, okay, switch that off, please, so that I can continue talking.
No, nothing is even on. Funny enough, it's just only my laptop here. I'm even surprised.
Yeah, but when I talk, I can hear myself talking on your end.
Maybe is it? Let me off the
fan. I beg, Roxton, now we're trying to finish this thing. All right, I'll take him off the stream so it can just be, and I'll get into the next point. All right, so let me get to the next and final area, and then once Roxon works out his stuff, he can join us, and if he doesn't, then we'll just continue and wrap it up. So there's a group called Dem Camp. Some of you may be familiar with the band. If you are specifically in the African space, you're probably familiar. It's an amazing band. Well, actually, a hip-hop group. I've had one of the bandmates in the past on the podcast talking about the brand and overall very, very good group. And so what they've done is diversify the brand to actually create a festival. The name of the festival is Palm Wine Festival, and they've had at least 3 or 4 years of consecutively staging this Palm Wine Festival in Lagos, specifically, Nigeria. It's been very successful. And then I believe in 2019, they decided to expand into the UK. And so they launched specifically in the UK, Palm Wine Festival. That was also successful. Fast forward 2 years later, recent times, you now have a group of promoters who decided that they are going to have their own Palm Wine Festival UK event, a concert, music, exact same scenario. So Dem Camp put out an official statement. I'm looking at the official statement right now. And they basically say that, in a nutshell, I'm going to cut straight to the chase on the heart of what they said. They said, this event is not authorized by us, nor an authentic palm wine music festival, and is in no way associated with us. Dem Camp and all associated acts will not be present. We're disappointed to discover another promoter using our brand and are currently taking legal steps to address the apparent attempt to capitalize on the reputation of Palm Wine Music Festival. So what's the legal issue there? The legal issue there obviously is a trademark issue we're talking about, because they say, capitalize on the reputation of Palm Wine Music Festival. I'm not going to go back and define trademark and all that stuff. Already did that. If you're just joining us to watch that, go back a little bit further, in order to understand the definition of trademark, why we have it, and why it's important that you register your trademark so you're able to, come after infringers in the event that they do infringe on your trademark. So having said that, the key issue here that is of concern but never addressed in the press statement are two things. Number one, did Dem Camp actually register their trademark in the UK? And do they also have a registered trademark in Nigeria? If they don't, assuming they registered their trademark in Nigeria, that can be very beneficial for purposes of using that trademark registration for the UK market, even if they did not register in the UK. And at a minimum, they can also rely on a theory called passing off that will allow them to be able to stop this new group from specifically trying to capitalize on their reputation and all the hard work that they've done. Let me invite my colleague, Rockson, so we can further break it down on that topic. So Rockson, all right. So specifically, you just heard the fact pattern that I talked about. It's not clear. Hold on. Let me ask my question. It's not clear, and it doesn't appear based on the press statement that Dem Camp registered their trademark in Nigeria. And there's a different issue, because palm wine is a common generic term. We all know it's a drink. It's very common in Nigeria. So I'm not even sure per se that they can get Palm Wine Festival, which is also a generic term, in Nigeria. However, since they've been building brand equity, that might be enough to keep the strength of the mark so strong that the Nigerian trademark office would agree for that registration. But what are your thoughts on that, and then the UK scenario?
Well, I think they should not even come under trademark, except they register that trademark in the UK. I will advise that let them come under passing off.
Mm-hmm.
If they have gotten enough reputation to protect, they have acquired enough reputation on that brand that they are free riding on their brand. That is better they come under passing off, because even the Trademark Act also recognizes passing off.
Mm-hmm.
And there are just three things they need to put there. They've been using that brand over time, and they have acquired goodwill and reputation on it. And some persons wants to free ride on them. Just that three things, they are good to go.
Yeah, and let me just state, us talking about this is not legal advice specifically to you. It's just for informational purposes only. We're sharing, concepts about the law, both in Nigeria and over here in the US. The information we're sharing doesn't automatically mean we represent you. Needless to say, if you have your specific issue, please contact our different offices respectively, and we're happy to consult with you and take it from there. But to your point, Roxanne, I agree, right? The law of passing off can be quite strong and is very strongly recognized in the UK. I remember the case of Rihanna having the issue with her image rights being used in the US. She could have easily stopped that through a right of publicity law. But over in the UK, they didn't have that right of publicity law. And so she went under that passing off theory. And explain just a little bit more the concept of passing off. I know you've talked about the criteria one must show in order to show that it is passing off, but what's the overall general concept of passing off? Are you there?
I think, yeah, I can hear you.
Mm-hmm. So what is passing off conceptually?
Passing off, that is misrepresentation when you are misrepresenting or pretending to be the owner of somebody's brand. Maybe it's Uduak now. Over time now, you're African music lawyer and you have acquired some reputation and goodwill. When they say African music law is connected to Uduak, there's somebody somewhere, because you have acquired the goodwill and reputation, it comes out with an African, instead of African musical law. What the person is doing is free riding on your goodwill and reputation that you have acquired over time. And it's an extension of trademark, stopping of counterfeit, misrepresentation, not to put wool over a customer's eyes to deceive them, unfair competition. So stop unfair competition, misrepresentation. So under passing off is a kind of a relief that, assuming you did not trademark your product, you can use passing off as a remedy. And what you need to do is just to show that this product, over time, you have been using it, and you have goodwill and reputation, and somebody is attempting to free ride on that goodwill. Those are the three things you need. Yeah. So it's a kind of, for those who don't register, who did not trademark their product, at least there's an equitable relief for them. That is the passing off. That's why I say, let them not go.
I was going to say that especially in the UK, that's a very strong legal theory to look at as a viable claim against the company that is now all of a sudden having their own Palm Wine Festival UK. I should also point out to our viewers and listeners who will listen to this that the UK law is very, very similar to Nigerian law. In fact, because of the unfortunate, in my view, colonization of the continent in a lot of places, Nigerian law literally mimics UK law in so many respects. And there's even a reciprocity where lawyers have the relationship and can practice in each jurisdiction, depending on certain criteria that they meet. So your understanding and description of the Nigerian law and the UK law is certainly on point, since they're so parallel as well. All right, I think we have covered it enough. I do want to get prepared for the clubhouse. Your boy Freaky, I see you. I see the comments you've made and the continuous discussion as well. So thank you for your comments. I appreciate it. And everyone else, please, 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 Roxanne, I'll take you off the live stream. Thank you for joining me. Wait in the stream room. We'll talk very briefly. And then
this is my birthday. My interview has not come.
Yes, I knew it was your birthday. You've been supporting the brand for so long, and of course, June 1st is your birthday, though, right? So yeah, I knew June 1st was your birthday, and I needed to bring you on here to just say I appreciate you. I thank you so much.
It's our brand, not only your brand.
Yes, everybody. Yes, absolutely. Everyone's grown with it and are so connected to it. I appreciate you for coming. Thank you so much. Happy birthday, long life, and continued prosperity, all in advance. And thank you for what you're doing on the continent of Nigeria. On the continent of Africa, specifically Nigeria, and giving you a shout out too for those on the continent or outside of wanting to work with you in Nigeria. Rockson is certainly aggressive on ensuring the rights of his clients are represented. I know on the back end, we've interfaced on so many different things. So very, very good what you're doing, and your partners as well, and the work that they're doing. So again, happy birthday, and thank you for your support. I appreciate you. Okay, so wait in the waiting room. I'll be there to join you very briefly. All right, folks. We started this conversation very, very interesting, and some of you will go back, you watch it, and you might have my perspective on the whole J.Cole situation, or Terrell's perspective, or you might have your boy Freaky's perspective. And then, of course, we even have Mansa Musa, who is just adding a comment. Let me add that comment real fast. And he's saying, so this is like when Black China tried to register as Kardashian. By adopting that name, she would have written on the Kardashian name, pretty much conceptually, right? So you built a Kardashian name and someone wants to comment. That's funny. Mansa Musa, the way you frame that. Anyway, I just want to thank you all, your boy Freaky, Mansa Musa, Rockson Igelige, and Terrell. Everyone, thank you for coming. We are going to continue the conversation on Clubhouse. This is going to be our first room on Clubhouse, first event. I'm still new to Clubhouse. I'm getting acclimated. But please come and let's chop it up. And diverse opinions are always welcome. To me, diverse opinions are how we, move the needle forward to get a better understanding. And then once we do, of course, we become action oriented to implement it. So it would be appreciated if you could join us. Find us, Africa Music Law, on Clubhouse. All right. Thank you so much for joining. We'll see you very soon. Clubhouse is at 10 Pacific Standard Time. So let me go get ready for that. Cheers. Talk soon. Bye-bye.